Now, explosions were heard near the army-controlled Sudanese capital Khartoum a day after Sudan's rebel forces said that they had agreed to a proposal for a humanitarian truce put forth by the mediators. The residents in Greater Khartoum area said that they were awoken by the sound of explosions near the Wadi Sayyidina military base. Another resident said that they heard a drone overhead at about 4 a.m. before an explosion struck near a power station, causing an outage in the area. The paramilitary rapid support forces at war with the regular army for more than 2 years has said that they have agreed to a proposal by the Quad nations, the United States, Egypt, the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia. Now, the announcement has come days after the RSF captured El Fasher, which dislodged the army from its last stronghold in the vast western Darfur region. They have since been accused of mass killings, lootings and sexual violence. The military-aligned government has not commented on the RSF. And earlier in the day, the army chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan had said that his forces were still striving for the defeat of the enemy, and the government had indicated earlier in the week that it will press on with the war following an internal meeting on a ceasefire proposal. The mediators' plan outlines a 3-month humanitarian truce in all of Sudan. During the ceasefire, efforts will be made to bring the RSF and the army together for talks in Jeddah on a permanent peace deal. However, hopes for peace are not high.
Most of the Sudanese are not against peace, and the peace is good, as people say, but there are thousands of displaced people. Also, how many times did the RSF start a ceasefire, then they breached it? So what are the guarantees?
We're all one unit. We're all one family. No one came from outside to fight us, right? This agreement should have happened before we are displaced from our houses. You, my children, aside of my talk, go check. You will not like what you'll see. When you go into Al-Fashir, you will not like what you'll see. I'm sure you won't like it. But thank God that they agreed. We want them to agree. We don't want our Sudan to be homeless, fractured, and with problems.
Meanwhile, Yale researchers have reported some new satellite imagery that shows activity that is consistent with mass graves being dug in the city of El Fasher. It is also noted that the appearance of meters-long trenches as well as disappearance of clusters of objects consistent with bodies. The World Health Organization had reported the killing of more than 460 patients and medical staff at that hospital during the city's takeover. And the United Nations Human Rights Council announced on Thursday that it will hold an urgent session on the situation in El Fasher next week. And both sides have been accused of committing atrocities over the course of the war. Now, the fall of El Fasher has given the paramilitaries control over all 5 states of Darfur. The RSF now dominates Darfur and parts of the south, while the army holds the north, the east and the central regions along the Nile and the Red Sea. Now, the conflict in Sudan that's been raging since the 15th of April 2023 has pitted the forces of the army chief Burhan against those of his former deputy, the RSF commander, Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo. The United Nations has said that it has killed tens of thousands of people, displaced millions more, and has created the world's largest displacement and hunger crises. And our correspondent Louisa Olani has sent us this report from Lagos in Nigeria. Listen in.
Sudan's RSF has agreed to a proposal from the U.S. for a humanitarian ceasefire in order to allow the urgent delivery of aid. This comes as international condemnation increases over reports of mass killings by its foot soldiers in a deadly massacre in capturing El Fasher, which gave RSF control of more than a quarter of the territory, creating a partition line for 2 countries. Though multiple ceasefires have been agreed to by both parties in the past, but was never implemented, as the actors do not make concession for peace, which may also be the case this time. On Tuesday, Sudan Defense Minister Hassan Kabrom said that preparations for battle against the RSF were ongoing, and it is Sudan's legitimate national right. Explosions were also heard near the army-controlled Sudanese capital, Khartoum, causing power outages, as reported by witnesses. The hope of the truce hangs in the balance. The next coming days will determine if we're seeing the end of the worst hunger crisis and displacement in modern history, or is the same old talks without fruits. From Lagos, Nigeria, Louisa Olani, WION World is One.